how's the fishing?
The fishing?
Yeah.
Over where?
Did you do a bit of fishing in the pre-season?
Nah, not that I'm aware of, but I went to New Zealand for a bit, played a fair bit of golf, so that was good. The weather was better than my golf game, but it's good to be back into it for sure.
Sorry, big review at the end of last season or during last season. Did you notice anything different out there today?
I think probably the intensity of training right from the get-go. I think the training's based around just pretty much as close to match sim as possible. You'll see a lot of guys doing a lot of contested ball and tackling. The physicality's gone through the roof from day one. We want to hit the ground running, and it's good to see the young boys are really setting the tone, especially they stand out. James Aish is clearly on fire, which is what we want. We want the young boys coming through, and they stood out over the older boys today for sure.
That's a bit unusual to start match simulation this early in the pre-season.
Yeah, I suppose that it's probably something that we haven't been used to, but it's something that we want to do. Getting that match sim right from the get-go. I think it's, everyone can run as many laps as you want around the outside, but it's the match sim fitness that everyone wants. So to get that right from day one, it's going to serve us well in the future.
And I guess that will make things a little bit more interesting as well. As you say, just running laps can get a bit boring.
It can, but I think as the game's moving, it's a lot more quicker, but the toughness is always... It's going to keep growing, and if we can do that from day one, it'll serve us in good stead going forward.
Obviously, the group's got to improve next season. Where do you think it'll come from?
Yeah, clearly I think we got criticised a fair bit with our skills going forward, but I think at the same time our consistency throughout the game, we showed patches of our best footy that was definitely good enough against the good sides. We probably dropped away against the lesser sides on the ladder, but the consistency, I know it's a throw-out answer, but for us, 50% isn't good enough, and if we can play, 90% of matches, it's going to keep us in games for long enough to win them.
And you discuss amongst yourselves why there were certain periods during a game that you weren't playing at the optimum, or even in sequences of weeks?
It's probably more so the games now are judged a lot. It's more who can hold the momentum for long enough, and we're getting in arm wrestles week to week, and it's just a matter of who can hold it for long enough. And I think, it's like we played patches, but it's a matter of being able to hold that arm down for as long as possible. And I think we did that. Our back half of the year was a lot more consistent than the front half, and it's hopefully we can address some issues going forward and then hit the ground running from day one.
About Jamie Elliott's injury, how important is that to the club? How much does that set you back?
Well, in terms of Jamie's individual preparation, it's not ideal. It's the same. I think it's the same ankle as this season. So I think the idea was to try and rest him over the off season and see how it was going to go. But clearly it's flared up again. So he's obviously gone in for surgery, and I think he'll be back late Jan. For him, it's obviously not ideal, but for us also, he's clearly is an important player. But he'll get it right, do everything that he can, and late Jan hopefully he'll be cherry ripe and be back in the main group, so he'll be good to go by the time we start playing games.
We noticed Scott out there today. Obviously the finger not too bad out of the international rules.
Yeah, I think you can't really, unless you hold him down and cuff him to the pole around the outside, it's about the only reason you get pendles off the track. But I think, pretty much marking and tackling is pretty much the only things he can't do. But he wants to be out there keeping his fitness up. So pretty much everyone else marks and just gives him the ball. So he'll be out there for pretty much the majority of pre-season.
And Wellesley, a lot was made of how he rocked up last year. How have you assessed him?
Yeah, I didn't actually see too much of him. I walked off the track today. It was like, and I didn't even know half the boys were out there. We kind of did a bit of a split session, so guys are all over the shop. But like I said last year, like Wellesley's first class, the way that he goes about it on field. It's just hopefully we can get more games into him this year, because like you saw the season just gone, how important he is to us going forward. So get a good pre-season under his belt, and it'll serve us good.
Are you over the mark of the year?
No.
Scenario?
Nah, I am. There's not much you can do about it, but we'll see how we go. I'll have to go harder next year.
Do you reckon they should have a look into that, into how it's judged?
Word out of or coming from above, I think they're going to change it to a bit of a panel. It's not going to be voted by the public, but I'll see how we go. I'll just have another crack and see how we go.
How difficult was it to sort of mask your surprise when there's the announcement?
Well, I don't think I'd masked it that well. So if it happens next time, I might just have to look at the table the whole time. But look, it's all fun and games. Joey's a great player and he takes good grabs, so I'll just have to go higher next year.
So, you mentioned James Aish was training the house. Who else was impressed you?
Braden Maynard. I think he's probably going to have a stint between half-back and midfield this year. He's running extremely well. He's a competitive beast. I think that's why he can add a bit in the midfield this year as well. So give those guys a bit of a chop out. He's dropped a couple of kegs and moving really well. And Darcy Moore, his fitness levels are really high at the moment. So I'm chasing him around at the moment. So I need to lift my game. But no, those three are probably the standouts so far.
You mentioned the match sim and stuff like that. Did the coach sort of set down any broad, I guess, direction, any changes that he wants to put in place?
I suppose we've got a couple of new coaches coming on board, and obviously Robert Harvey's moved into midfield. We've got Buddha Hocking, and then obviously Justin Longmuir as well. They're obviously going to provide their own spin on things, but fundamentally we're still going to try to play the same we played last year. But this pre-season is all about competitiveness, 1v1 contest, and I think you can see from today it's starting from day one and not after Chrissy. So it's just a matter of getting conditioned to that, and the boys will be going all right come after Chrissy. So
how's your probably a tough question for you, how's your injury situation at the moment as a group?
In terms of Jamie, I think I'm not too sure with anyone else. If you've got other blokes that come to mind, I might be able to answer, but in terms of what me personally, I don't really have a grasp on other blokes injury wise. So what you saw out today is probably the guys who were eligible to train. The guys who weren't, I probably couldn't even tell you was inside. So I haven't got much for you.
Fair enough. Fair enough.